name is Paige. I'm a 33-year-old full-time housewife. I live with my husband Kevin in his company's apartment complex. In this apartment building, the daughter of Kevin's company CEO, Miss Helen, also lives here by herself. And Miss Helen and I get along really well. Oh, Paige, hello! I see that you're holding a reusable bag. Are you going grocery shopping? Yeah, to get ingredients for dinner. Tonight it looks like it's going to be cold for this season, so we're going to have hot pot. Ooh, in that case, do you want to take some of our cabbage? Wow, are you sure? Yeah, I can't finish it all by myself anyway. Message me when you're done shopping. Let's meet at the garden. Thank you so much. All the vegetables you grow, oh, they're so delicious. Looks like your garden is going well too, Paige. When I looked at it earlier, the snap peas were looking great. Just next to the apartment building was a garden. The land belonged to Miss Helen, but just the other day she said that it was too difficult to manage by herself, and she gave me a little bit of space in the garden to rent. And then recently, I've been growing my own vegetables under Miss Helen's guidance. I had a friendly neighbor in Miss Helen, and I had a new hobby in gardening, and my life was really fun. It was, however, until... Oh, Miss Helen, hello! The person that came running over to us was Maria, who had recently moved in next door to the apartment with her husband. Maria's husband, Steven, recently transferred over to this office, and he works in the same department as Kevin, but... Miss Helen, I received some of the luxury honey that I purchased online today. I'll come over and give some to you later. Miss Maria, you really don't have to give me such luxury food and products this often. It's a little... Oh, please don't hesitate. Your father has taken such great care of my Steven. It's the least I can do, so I do look forward to Steven's promotion. I always say this to you, but it is my father's company. And there's not much I can do about any kind of promotion. Oh, well, anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this high-end honey that I ordered. Of course, there's enough for you to give to your father, the CEO, as well. Listen, Maria, to be honest, my father has also said that it was a pain to keep receiving these things. No, Miss Helen. This is just to show our gratitude, she said. Her interior motives were so obvious as Maria put on a disgusting smile on her face. Miss Helen must have realized there was no point in trying to pursue this conversation, so... I'm going to excuse myself now. Well then, about what we just discussed. See you later, she said as soon as she left. Hey, Paige! What does she mean, what you discussed earlier? You need to tell me now. Oh, it's nothing. Yes. Oh, come on, you're always sucking up to Miss Helen like that. I'm sure it's just your strategy to get your husband promoted, but my husband is the one that's going to be promoted first. It's going to be my husband, do you hear me? No, you're the one that's sucking up to Miss Helen all the time. Maria started puffing as she turned around and left. Well, until that moment, she was just a little bit of a pain, but because nothing in particular was being done to me, I didn't pay much mind to Maria and went on about my life. However, that was about to change. That night, when Kevin came home from work.
Paige, I'm home!
With the biggest smile on his face, Kevin came in and gave me the biggest hug. Hey, welcome home! What's the matter?
I got promoted to division manager!
What? Really?
Yeah, and it's because you're always supporting me at home like this, Paige.
Kevin thanked me, but I knew better than anybody that Kevin was the most hardworking and serious about his job. So, without a doubt, this was all his own efforts. I have such a wonderful husband that I could brag about him forever. However, it goes without saying that at the moment, Maria's face came into mind. She was always looking down on Kevin and myself while sucking up so much to the CEO and his daughter. And she was even going to the board of directors at the company to try and get them on her side. Oh, that woman. I really hope she doesn't do anything to us after this, but... However, immediately after this, my uneasiness was about to come true. Just as we were celebrating Kevin's promotion and we were about to cheers, the doorbell started to ring incessantly. I had a bad feeling, but when I looked through the peephole, just as I expected, Maria was standing there. And next to her, Steven was also standing there. How can I help you? I reluctantly approached the intercom, and as I said that... How dare you? Who do you think you are?
That's right! Who do you think you are?
Huh? This must be a joke! How can this happen? You know, my Steven was supposed to become the division manager.
That's right! Give me back my seat as the division manager!
I don't really understand. I heard through the grapevine that you've been borrowing part of Miss Helen's garden for free? What a vile woman you are! I bet you were using that to try to get closer to the CEO's daughter little by little and then take advantage of that.
You vile woman!
Oh, what a pain. Anyway, you need to give us back that division manager title. And if you say that you're not going to give it back, then you better show us an apology in some way or another.
Hurry up and show it!
I was standing there not knowing what to do when Kevin came next to me and then...
I don't mean to be rude, but Mr. Steven is constantly slacking on his work in the office. And he's the type of person that just acts like nothing happened, even after he gets yelled at by the manager.
Huh?
And not only that, but every now and then, he tries to force his work onto me. And then without any complaints, I do the work that he's forced onto me, and all of the managers saw that. Thanks to that, I do believe I was able to be named the next division manager.
What?
Which means that perhaps I was able to become division manager thanks to Mr. Steven. Thank you very much.
As Kevin said that to rub it in their faces, Maria's face turned red with anger. You remember this! Come on, we're going, Steven!
Yeah!
As she said that, Maria grabbed Steven and they went back to their house. The next day in the morning, I was within the garden with Miss Helen, and when at that moment... So, until you see the leeks sprout, you have to water the soil so that it doesn't dry out. But once they've sprouted, you don't need to give it any water. Okay, got it. And about this cabbage over here, cabbage is really easily taken over by bugs, so if you ever see any, you have to pluck them out. That morning, I was receiving a lecture from Miss Helen about raising the vegetables. Hey, this whole time, Maria has been glaring at us through her window. What? Maria had the corner room of our apartment building and it faced straight into the garden. When Miss Helen said that, I glanced over to Maria's window and, whoa, she's right, she's glaring. She's glaring straight at me. That's scary. Hey, Paige, I may not be able to help you for a while, but, if Maria does anything to you again, you have to message me straight away, okay? And then 2 days later, in the morning when I was down in the garden maintaining it, I looked up and saw Maria glaring at me through her window once again. It was really unsettling, but I ignored her and continued working in the garden. When one of the other wives who lived in the same building came over. To my excitement, her family had sent her a large amount of grapes from their home field, and she was sharing some with me. And so I stopped working in the garden for the time being, and I went with the lady back to her house, and she gave me a full shopping bag full of grapes. In the end, we ended up catching up for a while, and we spent about an hour in the lobby of the building making small talk. Later, to thank her for these grapes, I needed to go and share some of the snap peas that I was able to grow in the garden. Or that's what I thought. After we finished talking, I went back to my apartment, and because it was a Sunday, Kevin was home, and I handed him the grapes. Right after that, I headed back down to the garden, but then, when I arrived, I was shocked. I froze on the spot. I saw Maria and Steven at the garden that I was just maintaining a couple hours ago, grabbing and collecting the tomatoes and bell peppers and other vegetables without any permission. They must have thought that they shouldn't destroy Miss Helen's garden because they were only stuffing the vegetables that I was tending to earlier into the cardboard box. Wait, this is not the time for me to be shocked by their actions and freeze. I immediately came back to reality, and I said this to Maria and Steven. What on earth are you doing? When the two of them heard my voice, they looked over at me at the same time, and then they grinned and said, "Oh, we were just harvesting those vegetables that you spent so much time to grow. You know, organic vegetables are just so delicious."
Right.
Harvesting? But obviously there's no way you can just go into somebody's garden and take their vegetables without any permission. That's not harvesting, that's stealing. Huh? You and your husband are refusing to apologize to us even after all this time, so we're just making it a win-win situation for you.
An eye for an eye. We're even now.
Huh? You should have apologized, saying sorry that we stole the seat of the division manager. If you had bowed down to us for that, we would have never have done this.
That's right. This is all your own fault.
I've already gone around to the people that live in this department. The director, the managing director, the vice president, as well as the CEO's house. I went to go and gift these vegetables we took from you. I'm going to get the hearts of all the board of directors of this company, and then I'm going to drag your husband out of his seat of division manager.
That's right! He's going to get dragged out!
This is crossing the line! They are crazy! What they're doing is way too crazy! I won't forgive them! Alright, well then, why don't I be straightforward with them and give them a lesson about just exactly what they've done? Actually, it looks like these two had a little misunderstanding. But actually, a very problematic misunderstanding. But I don't care what happens to them. They didn't have a single clue as to what I was thinking, and right in front of my eyes, Maria and Steven continued to collect their leeks and cabbage. I need to take these leeks and this cabbage and go and deliver it to the CEO and the director's houses. And with these vegetables that you grew, Paige, Steven might be able to get promoted. Thank you so much, Paige. And so that was when I told them one little thing. Hey, that garden right there, do you know who it belongs to? Huh? What do you mean, obviously you? That right there is Miss Helen's garden, though? Huh? Instantly, Maria and Steven's hands that were all over the vegetables froze and their eyes opened wide. Hey, because yesterday and today you were messing around in this space right here? That's why I was certain that this was your garden and the rest of the space belonged to Miss Helen. No, Miss Helen has been away on vacation since yesterday, and so I was helping to look after her vegetables in her place while she was away. No way. Maria and Steven were completely pale. They looked just like the cabbage that had fallen at their feet, and they were actually even a little bit green. However, this is a disaster. I need to hurry up and call Miss Helen and let her know that vegetable thieves have appeared in her garden. Hey, wait a minute! If you do that, what about Steven? His promotion. Please don't say anything about this. What should I do? That was when I pulled out my cell phone from my pocket and I pulled up Miss Helen's contact information and put it in Maria's face. Stop it! Maria, of all the terrible things you've said to me until now, and Steven, all of the work that you've forced on Kevin at the company, do you have any intention of apologizing for that? Yes, of course we do. Look, we're begging you. Maria then quickly dropped her head and bowed, and next to her, Steven was shaking from head to toe and couldn't say anything, but she grabbed him by the head and made him bow down to me as well. Well done, both of you! And then, without waiting for their next words, I pressed call on the video call button. Oh, hello, is this Miss Helen? When I said that into my cell phone, Maria kept trying to stop me, raising a small, pathetic voice while panicking on the spot. Hello, Paige. What's the matter? I'm very sorry to bother you during your vacation. Actually, Miss Maria and Mr. Steven made the terrible mistake of thinking that your garden was actually my garden, and they were harvesting the vegetables without asking. Actually, no, they were stealing them. Right now, this is what it looks like. As I said that, I turned the camera over and showed the entire garden. Along with that, I made sure to show Marie and Steven, who were standing there with their mouths moving and not a word coming out. At the end, I zoomed in right on their faces. What is going on? Everything is a disaster. That's right. What would you like to do? Paige, would you mind turning the camera so that the two thieves can see me? Yes, ma'am, on it. So I turned the phone and showed Maria and Steven, my screen with Miss Helen's on it, and then Miss Helen raised her voice. How dare you, you bastards! When Miss Helen raised her voice, the two of them jumped in their pants. I heard Paige say earlier that you made the mistake of thinking that my garden was her garden, but regardless of whose garden it is, you know that you can't do things like this! At that moment, Marie and Steven dropped down to their knees in front of the cell phone, and then they dug their forehead into the soil of the garden. I'm going to be telling my father about this. Do you hear me? Please, anything but that! Then Maria started digging her forehead even deeper and deeper into the dirt.
I didn't do anything wrong! This woman, she's the one that said we were going to take all of the vegetables and Miss Page's garden. And even though I didn't want to, she forced me and dragged me down here.
To everyone's disbelief, Stephen betrayed her. He pointed straight at Maria, and with tears in his eyes, he was trying to defend himself to Miss Helen. Hey, what are you saying?
Shut up! I didn't do anything wrong!
You were totally on board. What are you saying?
That's not true! Deep down, I didn't want to!
Shut up! And Miss Helen shut the two of them up instantly. Of course, I will also be reporting this to the police. Police?
No way! This is a joke, right?
And then the two of them, still sat down in the dirt, started sobbing. They were looking out into the sky, screaming and crying like toddlers while waterfalls of tears were streaming down their cheeks. After that, I hung up the phone for Miss Helen and I contacted the police. Not long after that, the two were arrested by the police that arrived and taken away from the garden. It seems they'll be in the hands of the police sometime. After this incident, Stephen was fired from the company. And it seemed that everybody knew he wasn't doing any work anyway. After that, Maria and Stephen continued to blame each other for this. And in the end, they got a divorce. They were both cut off by both of their families and relatives, and seems they're both crying and asking themselves how did things end up like this, while spending time behind bars. I also found out about all this later from their parents, who came to apologize to me and Miss Helen, along with envelopes of money to apologize for all the trouble those two have caused. Well then, on the other hand, as for me, after receiving a lot of guidance from Miss Helen, I've been able to grow all kinds of vegetables. Perhaps it's because tinkering with soil has an earthing effect that dissipates static electricity from the body? Recently, my health has been great, and my life has been even more peaceful than before. That reminds me, just the other day we were snacking on some pickled eggplant that I had harvested in my garden, and Kevin and I were having a drink at home, but...
Oh, this eggplant, it's delicious!
I just left it in the rice vinegar to pickle.
It's because the eggplant itself is delicious. Because you grew it, Paige.
That's just because Helen gave me all kinds of advice. That reminds me, the snap peas were also looking pretty good. Do you want to try some?
Wow, that's great. I can't wait.
Okay, just wait a minute. I'm gonna go down to the garden now. Thank you for watching! What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more!